Yep.
Welcome to the latest edition of The Blend. My name is Steve Benz, broadcasting from Studio B just outside Chicago, somewhere where you can't really find me. One of my favorite guests has now come back. He is one of the founding members of a great band from Detroit. Let's welcome Mike Skills right back to the show. Mike, how the hell are you, my friend?
Steve, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm hanging in there. That's
I know.
all I can ask for. Nothing more than that.
I'm still putting on music and you're still airing things.
You know, that's how it should be. You are one of the band members where I play all day long. People want to hear you, want to hear the Romantics every day. That's got to make you proud all these years later.
That's my heart. That's my heart. That's my guitar.
It is hard to believe it has been 40 plus years since you guys started. Can you believe that? It's gone fast.
I can't. It's hard to fathom. It's really hard. And it's been fun and it's been work. It's now that you stop and you look, because we're working up till last year. But once you stop and start looking, you notice things you haven't thought about. I wasn't thinking about how the impact of MTV was. I knew it was big, but really when I saw a month ago or so, it was like I'm going, wow, it was really humongous. It was amazing. It's amazing.
What were the big dreams putting the band together, or at least the original inception of the Romantics? First of all, were you guys called the Romantics?
It wasn't called the Romantics first. And, but we were inspired. We were inspired because the whole punk scene had happened.
True.
And we grew up through that Detroit thing and Motown in the 60s. And this whole thing was burgeoning in New York. You had the Ramones and Blondie. In LA, you had a few bands out there. I can't say the name right now, but I go into that later. And then in London, the Dolls went over to the London, New York Dolls after the glitter scene, and it really kind of blew everything up and turned into a English punk scene thing, a really more raw, a little bit negative and nihilistic, and also positive, some of it. But I got the jam out of it, the jam and those kind of bands. That's what really turned me on. The Flame of Groovies recorded their album with Dave Edmunds, and Shake Some Action. That song is great, and that inspired me to go, wow, we can write these pop songs. Jimmy, we had just broke up. We just went to New York, played CBGBs with the Motor City Rockers, came home, and we broke up. And then
Jimmy was the drummer, right?
Yeah, he was my high school chum. We played through high school. He played drums through high school. Okay. I played bass and guitar, but mostly bass through high school. And I still was a guitar player, and learning from all the guitar players in Detroit. Detroit has great guitar players. I mean, I must say it. And I learned a lot from them. And I took myself back to like the Kinks, Louie, all that good hard rock stuff. It wasn't, it was purist stuff. But anyway, the Flame of Groovies came out. The Jam came out. I saw their look in New Musical Express, I think it was, or one of those magazines. And I brought this stuff over to Jimmy. I go, man, check this out. It's Flame of Groovies, man. We went and listened to it. And then I had the New Music Express with the Jam. They had their black jackets with the white shirts with black tie.
Right.
Yeah, you're talking 77, 8, 9, 78 or 9.
Yeah,
76 or 77.
Oh.
And I go, this is just what we learned. This is what we grew up with. So that's what we aimed for, that whole genre, that kind of thing.
Wow. And if you're thinking 76, wasn't Bob Seger was all over the radio at the time.
Bob Seger, the Eagles, Kansas.
Yeah.
What's the band out of Chicago? Styx.
Yeah, Styx. And here they're saying 70s music isn't that great. I mean, come on.
Well, we grew up on Led Zeppelin and Humble Pie and all that raw rock and roll stuff from England. We grew up in Mott the Hoople and T-Rex. We loved it. But it was getting Detroit bands were no more. The MC5 broke up. Iggy was in LA. So Jay Giles took the place, man. The Jay Giles band came to Detroit. They were became like the Detroit high energy raw blues. Their first 2 albums are really incredible. And they were inspiring to us. That was our band that brought us out of the doldrums in Detroit, because it was like decaying. Detroit was totally decaying at that point in the middle of the 70s. And unfortunately, so we saw this thing. So we had been banging away, writing songs and learning how to write songs. Um, and this, I saw that thing. I saw the thing in the paper and the album, and we go, I think we can do this. And I wasn't going to play guitar. I was going to play bass. So we couldn't, there was no guitar player. They were too good.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They were like, I mean that in the way that they were great players, but they were overqualified to do straight ahead rock and roll. And, kind of like Buddy Holly influenced Eddie Cochran. They weren't into that. They weren't thinking that. And that's what, the New York Dolls were all about, that, and 60s music. And that's what we were doing. We were thinking the Kinks. And I could write that. I go, man, Jimmy, I can write this stuff. I can write. So we got together, and it was me and Jimmy, and we got back together that year. I think it was 76. I had met Wally a couple of years earlier at a recording session. Didn't talk to him anything after that. I heard he was playing a high school with a like a doo-wop 50s kind of thing in 76. And doing oh, I can't think of the name. Anyway, he's doing all those pop songs for the 50s and 60s, but which is cool. So I heard he was at the school playing. I went to the school, and I didn't go in. I think I might have saw him after, but I'm not sure. But I didn't go inside to watch in the crowd. I was outside, and like old days when I was a kid, climbed up and looked through the window, the screen on the window.
Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah. I don't know why. I'm still wondering why I did that. I don't think I wanted to say that it really sucked if it did. So I wanted to be able to escape. But it didn't suck. He did a good job. And I went back to Jimmy. I told him he was good, man. He's a singer. I mean, we look in the newspaper. Oh, singer wants band. We'd call these guys all through. This happened through the 70s numerous times. Wow, we're looking for a guy kind of like, like a, Rod, not Rod Stewart, but that attitude, and kind of like a Mitch Ryder or Iggy or Rob Tyner from the MC5, or even Jagger a little bit. And they go, and you call these guys, you go, well, I'm into Steely Dan. And I go, sorry, sir, but we really want straight rock and roll, and no bad vibe on Steely Dan. It's just
That's funny. That's funny.
But anyway, we were into early Led Zeppelin, but it all got out of control. It was like you'd go to a concert. I went to see Yes or something, and the bass player would do a 20-minute solo. The guitar player would do a 20-minute solo. The drummer would do a 20-minute solo. The keyboard player, Rick Wakeman, would do a 30-minute solo with the cape and keyboards going all the way around, which is pretty cool. But it got a little boring and over-indulgent, self-indulgent. So that's what flipped everything on its head, I think, with the Ramones and Blondie and us too. And the punk scene that came after that, after the Dolls went to London. Yeah.
I think
so, and we just were about simple, straight ahead rock and roll.
Yeah, that was weird for the Dolls. I went to London. That like blew everybody's minds. Like, what are you doing? I didn't get it.
When the Stones, I was just reading this, when the Stones were coming to New York, there was someone that was in the scene that was a writer. The writer said, forget the Stones, you got to go see the New York Dolls.
Yeah.
That's how
I would have picked that too. I would have saw the Dolls over the Stones myself.
So. Well, it kicked the Stones. It kind of, the whole scene kicked the Stones in the ass. They wrote a couple of the best albums after that.
Yeah. I was big at the time. Was
you can't bet against the Stones. You can't bet against the Stones.
Well, no, they're just they've been out there too long. I wanted to see that. I saw the Police before they made it huge. We
were on tour with the Police when they first came over.
That was surreal. Now that was punk and just Stewart, just the speed, so I'm friends with Stewart.
He was Bob Marley.
It was that was cool. Seeing them back then, that was really, really cool. Before Synchronicity and all this other stuff. It's like, what happened?
We did a short tour through Canada and upstate New York with the Police. They were in a van and we were in a van.
Wow.
Passing each other by,
Wow.
And they were getting stopped. They were getting tickets, and we were waving.
That's funny. It is a small world.
So a van.
Let's get back to your track that you just recorded. What I Like About You. which
Yeah.
I love the rawness of that. And I suspect that's probably what it sounded like when you wrote it 40 years ago, 40 plus.
Yeah, because when we went to the studio, the producer kind of cleaned us up a bit.
Yeah.
He really kind of cleaned us up, which is all right, because I think that adds to the legacy of the sound. You can turn the first Romantics record up and it sounds great. It really sounds good.
Yep. So I think it did really well. I played it a couple times on
Thank you.
my other show.
I'm getting really good reviews on it. I thought it was time, because Romantics originally were going to redo a bunch of songs for the maybe an album, but
Sure.
maybe what I like about you for the 40th anniversary, the 30th anniversary. It never happened. But and I said, what the hell, man? I'm going to wait till one more year and I'll do it on the 41st. Everybody does on the 40th. So I figured I'll do it on the 41st because
Screw us all up.
because 2020 was such a crazy year.
Right. I know it screwed me up. I had to keep going.
That's my excuse anyway.
Like, well, it's a good one. It's a good one, right? Isn't it?
It's a great version. My
It is.
producer Chuck Calcasian, my son Mick. I brought out my boxes and high watts. I have high watt stuff here in the studio.
Wow.
We recorded on high watt amplifiers back in the day,
Yeah.
and the dials are still marked. And
Yes.
I tuned it exactly, set it up exactly the way the high watt was in the studio for the first out for the original, and played a Rickenbacker, rolled out my Rickenbacker, and the tone just worked. It just worked. And my son Mick recorded my voice
Wow.
and the guitar.
Now, do you have the original demo from way back when?
I don't have the original demo. I have the original cassette of the cassette demo.
So have you ever listened to that? How does that compare?
From 1978, 77, no, 78, 79, 80.
Okay. So did you listen to that and compared the two or no?
Well, I could tell by listening to it from hearing it so much, and the energy, the digital, I knew that it would be really acceptable and really accepted digital, because they probably digitized it off. I don't know if they did it off tapes. They probably did it off a CD or something.
Could
the
be.
ones you hear now.
Yes.
They probably didn't go in and dig up the tapes and go in and
No.
they probably just put it on the album, or they probably put it on a CD. So mine is I'm not going to go where I think where I should go and say it, but it really turned out really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it did.
The energy, the punch, it really fits with the digital format. It's got an organic sound to it, even though it's
I think
did our
maybe
digital
you sing that live when you go back on tour. I thought you did that.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get out myself, me and Brad.
Okay.
And I have a friend, Ricky Rat. He played with the Trash Brats, and he's a band in Detroit.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to get out soon and do some stuff. I just been finishing all the music, getting the music up and out.
Yep.
The album comes out, digital album comes out September 10th.
Okay.
So that's for sure. And then the vinyl in the fall. So we're riding.
Brad is the drummer, right? He's been around for
Brad Elvis. Yep.
Yep.
He was in numerous bands, the Elvis Brothers in the 80s. And and he's a great drummer, great friend. And Ricky and another cat will come out with us, and we'll do some.
And then the bassist is Rich, right?
Rich is a bass player. I'm not sure if he's coming out with us this time,
but he's with the Romantics, right? So then you've at least
I have nothing. Rich is a great guy, great player. I'm trying to make it so it's not Romantics. So
right. Then that makes sense. Just
because I have all these songs on these papers.
So
I have all these songs on these papers that are still getting noticed.
Well, it's good to get all this press, isn't it? I mean, were you the main writer for the band? Were you the main?
Yeah, well, if you mean, that's exactly, because I'd come in. I mean, the drummer's not going to do it, and I always would come in and well, the drummer could do it. I tuned the guitar for Jimmy in open tuning, and next thing you know, I'm out of the band. Anyway, so
Buddy.
it's like me. If you take my guitar right now and I pick it up, you'll have an idea for a song. So that's where I come from. I just have this thing of being not thinking too much about it and just get the feel and the vibe. And I have a beat in my head and I do it, and it comes out. And
so your songs from years ago and now come from your instrument. So that's the first thing you start with, or do you start with lyrics?
Oh, if you want me, it could be, you know what? It doesn't even have to be an instrument. I could be hearing, you ever walk into a store or your house, and on the other side of the house, there's a song playing, and
Okay.
you don't know what the song is,
Yep.
and it sounds different, and you go, wow, that's really good music. And you get in there, and it's a song you know, but you're hearing it like upside down, backwards.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's sometimes songs come to you that way. I'll hear the chorus of something and I go, what is that? Because I just get in the middle of it. I catch it in the middle of it. That's happened. Other times, it might be a word, a few words on here that I
Mhm.
might have. I'll jot down all in my phone. I got it somewhere. I've got pages of song titles. So I keep song titles and then I'll keep lyrics. And I'm constantly like I'll go home if I'm going to sleep and I say, hey, I'm gonna check out that lyric idea I had. I'll come up with it and I'll write another verse and I'll let it go. So there's that way.
Mhm.
And then there's jamming with a drummer. That's a whole nother way. And then there's jamming with other guys. There's all these different ways to get to songs.
Sure.
And you just have to really open your antenna. Like Keith Richards says, put the antenna up and let it just happen. You have to let it just happen. And because you can come up with it one way, and then as you get in the studio, it takes off another way, or not. But you were asking what got me into it, but
Sure.
what really got me really connected with me was I wanted to get into the studio. Me and friends of early bands, we were really into Brian Wilson and Jack Nietzsche and Phil Spector and all those producers, Brian Wilson, all those cats that did all the 60s, right? We were about sounds. So we were always reading about Carol Kay in the studio doing, playing behind the monkeys you're talking about back in the 60s, 70s. And so we always went, man, we can't wait to get to the studio. But to get in the studio back then, you had to have, well, back then, $1,500 was a lot of money. So it would be the equivalent of like $5, $6, $7, $8,000 now.
At least.
Or you had to get signed to a label. So you either had to go out and work a job and spend the money on a tape and then go in the studio and it's going to be a demo and you're spending like tons of money. So you had to get signed. But, we worked our butt off and finally got signed as Romantics, and studio's always been the thing I wanted to do. And that's why I enjoy it. And I can create good in the studio now. So,
Yeah. So how'd you pick the name Romantics? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
We had some other name. I forget.
Because I didn't think
I
that
don't
was the first name.
No, we had a hard rock group called the Bullets one time. And we had a hard rock group called, this is early on, Rock On, because of Humble Pie had a record called Rock On.
Yeah, Rock On.
And then my first band was the High Tide. Romantics came along. I think Jimmy was reading, this is my thought. I'm not saying this is the actual thing that happened, but I was reading Cream magazine. I found a Cream magazine. It had an interview with Brian Ferry from Roxy Music. And we really loved Roxy Music. We almost put together a group like rock, a Detroit-ish rock and roll version of Roxy Music, if you can think of that, with the good looks, good clothes, good songs. It became the Romantics, but more rock and roll. But there was an article, Brian Ferry was talking in this article, and every other word was about the Romantics, like romantic music, romantic era of art, romantic era of taste, like early France, and then later France in the 1890s, and then all over the modern era, and then the modern era. I come from an art background. I would have been in art school if I wasn't playing guitar. But anyway, so he was talking about all this era, new romantics, romantics, and I think Jimmy might have logged that away on a piece of paper. And because one day we're going to a gig and we're going to be called like, we say, wow, we got this show. What do you want to call it? The Backbeats or something? Nah, that sounds like, he goes, and someone says something else and Jimmy blurts out, what about Romantics? And we go, well, I don't know. That's, wow. Kind of, okay, we'll use it tonight, see how it goes.
Sure.
The thing with Romantics, the look, I mean, we started out with stuff like this, where resale shop stuff, where you wear it to one show, I sweat my ass off and it's all falling apart. This is silk or something, or whatever it is. And from a resale shop for $10, found these silk jackets. But still doing that.
Yeah.
so we graduated from all that resale stuff, clothes, the ties, and went to vinyl because it would last longer. And black vinyl, red vinyl, burgundy vinyl, and polka dot vinyl. We had these polka dot pants with little tiny polka dots on them. And then that stuff ripped up and it was really hot. And by the time we got signed, we just went to leather. And to be a band in that era, 78, 9, 80, with red, come out with the album with the wet hair, the look, the tight red, lipstick red, leather outfits. And then it was, you had to own it. You had to own that.
You did.
There was no turning back. Once you did it, Beetle boots. And then we're opening for Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent. What?
Yeah. We were playing El Paso and we come out, it's 90 degrees in red leather. And
oh no.
And no, we didn't get booed and they didn't throw anything. It went over. So if you own it, if you believe in it and own it, you know, it works.
Nugent. Oh my God. Was that, let's see here. Was that the year?
Cat Scratch Fever, probably.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to be Cat Scratch. Cause
that was actually a pretty good record. That was his first, once Hendrix passed away, I think Ted thought he was going to take over the mantle, the Jimi Hendrix mantle.
He did.
But in a different way. But
yeah, but he had really him and good. Derek St. Holmes.
Right? Yeah, Derek's a great guitar player.
Was always fighting. The two of them were always fighting. Let's face it, Derek was a better singer. He should have just let him sing, for God's sake.
Well, Derek, yes, you're right. Derek's a good guy, great blues player, great guitar player. And we did a lot of shows with him when the first record was coming out, before the record came out. Before the record came out with Cheap Trick and all those guys. And but Ted had a great band called the Young Boy Dukes. If you ever find that, it's like a psychedelic pop thing. And he's like in the background, he's playing guitar, but he's not like trying to be the madman. It was a band, a real band, and a really great singer, Farmer, Ron Farmer. I can't think of the first name right now.
Yeah, I think it was Ron. I think it was
great players. The keyboard player, like they were the tightest band in Detroit, one of the tightest bands. But they broke up, and after two successful albums, Migration and Journey to the Center of the Mind, those two records. But anyway,
wow.
Yeah, so that was our feeding ground. That was our whole learning.
I mean, talk about great music at that time. Now, I was lucky enough to I've had Ted on the show, and he went to my high school. Came to play at my high school, blew the freaking doors off.
I saw him at Denby High School on the east side of Detroit, and it was just when he wore the loincloth and no shirt and a rope. And he went from one side of the stage to the other, and we looked at it. We looked at each other, and we heard another song, we laughed. We learned about the whole loincloth thing. So
yeah, that was what was that, like Super Bowl to Rock? I think he did here in Chicago, 76 or something like that.
Yeah.
My God.
I'm talking 60, 68, 69.
Barely remember any of that.
Yeah.
What's happened to my brain? All right, so let's talk about your stuff, your new stuff. We've got.
Well, man, last year I started with 67 Riot, which got a great thing in Detroit because it's about Detroit riots. Mm-hmm. Great lyrics. The lyrics turned out great. I put that out. Then I had Dark Side of Your Love, which is a more
I like that one.
Minor key thing. It has a great groove. Then Carrie got married with Brad's wife, wrote the words and music, and I added my guitar to it for a record I was going to do with Brad. Mm-hmm. But I ended up re-recording, redoing guitar parts. I think I did, and putting out on my record. It's coming out on my record. I released it as a single. Then it came out with Not My Business and My Bad Pretty, and We Got Your Rock and Roll. So we're on our way. I mean, we're on our way. I'm in 7 songs deep now with What I Like. So and now we're going to get into the album. So there'll be 6 more songs that you haven't heard, and probably remixes and maybe some different ways of doing things on it, like extended things and that.
That would be awesome.
Adding a couple, like a coupon inside that'll give you 2 more songs if you buy the album.
That's awesome. Plus, if you guys do a release party, make sure you let me know, and we'll do something together. So.
Well, I think Romantics might be doing a couple of shows in LA. We're thinking about maybe doing a release party for something for that.
That would be awesome.
I'm not sure. It's up in the air. That's up in the air. It's too far to think about that right now, but
it is.
So
I'm getting really good. Your music. Is it Mike's?
Yeah, what's that?
Is that the best place to go to your social?
Well, all of them: Apple Music, Spotify, Bandcamp, you know, all of them. Yep. It's going right down the lane there.
Okay, so let's make sure everybody, you go to mikeskill.com. You can see all the connections.
Yeah.
On Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure if you message him, he'll message you back, right? You have to do.
Yeah, and we have a 45. I have a 67 Riot 45 I put out. I still have a couple left. If anyone's interested, Wayne Kramer from the MC5 played on it, and it's a kick-ass version. It's really good. But all you have to do is write me at mikeskill.com, and we can get them out to you if you're interested in them.
Mike,
The album, the digital release, and we're just kind of rolling along. And
September 10th, right? That's the release.
Yeah, September 10th for what I like about for the album.
That is fantastic. As we get a little bit closer, I'll have you back on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have you play live. How about that? That'd be all right.
Where do you want me to play? Yeah, I might be able to get a couple guys over here. Or
Yeah. Whatever, one or two guys, be just as a kind of a release party. We'll do some.
I'll get a couple of friends over.
Yeah.
Down here. No one's really in the music. Not too many musicians are flying around the country these days. So
they're getting close. You guys are getting close to getting
close.
And you got to do what you're most comfortable with.
Well,
I don't know about standing around with 10,000 people. So
I just did the Zoom thing for Johnny Thunders from the Dolls. I Zoomed right over here. I just filmed it. We did 4 songs, sent it off to New York, and they did a Zoom. It was for the birth of Johnny Thunder's birthday.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
And it's out of a club called the Bowery Electric. These guys over there are doing shows like that, and they've got music going on there now a little bit.
That's cool.
So, anyway, but tons of songs, man. Some great, man. It's really turned out.
I'm excited about all this. I'm glad to see you back out there. I'm glad to hear your music. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. So I think the last time I saw you, there was we were at an outdoor venue. I introduced you to Mike Score of A Flock of Seagulls. And
really, was it that long ago? Because I know him for a while.
Yeah, so maybe it was.
Maybe what? That would have been 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, what was it? Maybe B-52s. I think B-52s were the headliners. Was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, that was in. Wasn't that in Georgia?
Yeah, it could have been in Georgia. 2 years back, maybe 2 years back.
I'm not sure.
It's all a blur. We lost last year. We just skip it like 13. You just skip that year. So.
I'll think about it when I'm trying to sleep.
And you'd be like, wait a second. I remember, because that's what I'll end up doing. Because I'll just end up going through my phone. That's how I'll find it. I'll just go through my phone. I'm like, there you go.
That's our life, is our phone, right?
Isn't that right? Thank God for that. Mike, an absolute pleasure. Hey, you keep in touch. As we get closer to September, we'll get this all done. All right? Good,
man. Steve, thank you for the props, the help, and the good life and the fun. And keep playing the music, man. That's all we can do.
That's what I'm going to do. Mike, you take care, all right?
Thanks, brother.
All right.